the Stochastic Fiction game. This is a timed writing game. I'll give myself 1.5 hours today to be able to write a story based upon these story elements I just created. And then read the story at the end and rate it. And then play the next story game. For today's Stochastic Fiction game story elements, we have setting time future, setting main location construction site, conflict person versus destiny, quantity of primary characters mini, point of view third, tense present tense, genre utopian, format flash fiction. Those are the story elements for today's Stochastic Fiction game. Those story elements actually, in my mind, provide some sort of... I'm happy it's utopian. I'm happy it's a construction site in Utopian, because I think if I could create some sort of future story in Utopia on a construction site, I think that would be a good example of where everyone may agree that that is Utopia. I can make the human still have some importance and meaning, and not just some dystopia where some robots doing all the work, or some machine owned by some corporations. I mean, you'd build prison anyway. Let's not go down this road. This is Utopia. Third person too, present tense, that's good. Present tense, default tense, I write in. I'm writing not Haste Ghost, Prey of Ben. And that is currently in present tense. I'm thinking about doing past tense. And I can't think of the last novel, if ever, that I've done in past tense. Let's not think about those stories, because we have the Stochastic Fiction game to play right here. Future, yeah, I mean, that lines up with Utopia future. That's a great random selection. Person versus destiny. Quantity of primary characters many. Third, present tense, Utopia, flash fiction. So if this is like comes construction site, you're already going to have machines. Now it's just a talk about if we had these construction machines, and this is a utopian society, person versus destiny. And I guess because it's a construction site, so let's focus on these, like from the top. I can see the future. I think we all can if we really want to. And we can hopefully imagine somewhere where we're coming together and we're more constructive. Maybe I can show that on a construction site in such a short story like a flash fiction. So we're on a construction site. And I guess the actual site itself will have the meaning as well and bring that meaning along. Yeah. Like, for example, if we're writing about Utopia in the future and your construction site was a missile silo, that's not really something that you're going to be able to fit into Utopia likely very well, unless, there's probably people out there that having missile silos and killing people is their Utopia, but it's really not the classic sense of it. So this has got to be in a construction site. Let's make it, let's not think about it too much. Let's think about a hospital. People need health care. So it'll be a future construction site, hospital, person versus destiny. If this happens to be someone, since it's a construction site, obviously work is involved with that. And I'm foreseeing, because this is in Utopia in the future, that robots are going to play a bigger role versus the machines that help with construction site right now. Now, the person versus destiny conflict that exists in here, if we're at a construction site, there's always a great conflict in jobs. trying to rise up the ranks. That's a quick conflict. So maybe I'll just have it be that this person's trying to get, I don't know, a raise. We'll figure that out. And then primary characters. Many you're working on a crew, so naturally you should have many characters. Naturally, not naturally, but at least my experience of working on houses. I've never did a major construction site. I tried to get a job doing it once, but I didn't get it. Kind of happy I didn't. My body would have broke because that work breaks your body. Point of view third. I can do that. I just got to remember when I start this story soon that I got to do it in third and then present tense. That's fine. Utopia. How's work? Like that's. Let's do that in flash fiction. So flash fiction between 800 and 1200 words. I'll probably get 600. And then we got the score at the end, which is it's poop. People that either you may enjoy the stink, a rewrite may edit the stench. Let's go ahead and write these things. Construction site. I said it was going to be a hospital. Let's think of future Utopia hospital. Wow. But this is just building. So we just need the idea and the theme. I mean, can I do something besides work? I mean, seriously. At a construction site, pretty much slotted into probably working. And what's their destiny? Their destiny is to be manager. And then what does this look like? So let's say there's 50-50 robots, because you're never going to have that true android. It's just too expensive. And the engineering that needs to go in there and then cleaning them, they could probably last. But humans are just easy machines to produce and probably easier eventually to control. But this is utopia. We're all living in harmony. What's my destiny? To work? Yeah, that's a utopia everybody wakes up to every day and wants to start thinking about his work. I do. But it's just my work that I get excited about, or at least work that aligns with my work. Construction. The only thing I've done on construction is flat work and footings. I never poured foundation. I did help lay out boards for footings and then help pours with like basement flat work. I never did flat work on anything. I mean, you basically, yeah, it was all basement because it didn't need to be neat. And I was not an expert. I was good, but I was not flat work ready for something that people are going to look at. And when you're going to put something in the basement and cover it up with carpet anyway, why you don't need someone that does the driveway is a little bit more skilled than I've got, especially when you're doing edging on poured concrete for something like steps or something like that. Yeah. Anyway. So let's think of machines that do that. Like I could easily think of how a drone could take over the flat work and not have somebody's knees. And just like have people control the machine. Have the agency still rely within the human. That would be cool. I just had the picture in my mind, someone standing on the side of a dig, and they've got the basin and they are doing flat work, but instead of being on your hands and knees and breaking your body, because it does, even at the young age I was doing it when I was like 19, 20, and I worked on a farm, but there is certain pain that construction gives you, because when you're throwing around cement to spread it on the bottom of a fill, and then you got to be on your hands and knees to be able to flatten it. Yeah, that's day in, day out. Breaks your body. So in this case, the person standing on the side flying a drone. Not Destiny won't be about work. Destiny is going to be about this person wants to be a drone pilot. I need a sneeze. That's why I'm... hold on. That is a... one way that I think that I never thought of until years ago of how much like a sneeze or a sense of a sneeze can draw you away from your thought, creativity. Not as much as some human coming asking me some question about something that's just not loaded in my mind right now, but more of a pause and a transition. But that has nothing to do with this story right here. This story, let's start writing it. I think we got main location, construction site, conflict, person versus destiny. In Utopia, and this destiny, they're destined to be a drone racer. And they build these drones. Like, yeah. Let's do the drones. Let's do... how am I going to start this off? Because you got it in flash fiction with 800 words. It always helps me, at least, if I can define the who, what, why, when, where, how, the conflict. What do we need to resolve at the end? Or if anything, or it's simple. So let's roll for gender of the main pilot right now. 1, 2 female, 3, 4 male, 5, 6 day. 2. Okay. She's standing on the side of a dig. Damn. You know, I was going to call this person Janice, but then I realized I think I've used Janice more than once recently for a story. I'm trying to just look at like first letters. Ursula. I don't know how my name is not Ursula, so I have not written a name Ursula a lot. Ursula. That's how I'm going to spell it. That's how they spelled it that's how their parents spelled it, rather. Maybe they did, and there's some backstory they altered it, but who cares? That's Ursula. I'm going to try to dress her up to like a futuristic construction person. You're still wearing the orange, right? You got the hard hat on because you just need it. The drone would be orange too, I would imagine, so you could see it flying around and then contrast against the white of cement. So she's standing on the edge of the dig. Stands on the edge, on the dirt edge of the deep dig. And then just call out what it's going to be. Stood. Do I got past tense? I got present tense. Present tense third. So I'm good with that. And destiny, she's destined. But that's like, that would be more like that'd work for a book, a novel. And I didn't give like novel parts of a story as a element. So given that, Ursula stands on the deep, this is just boring old me. Subject, verb, object. Stands on the edge of the dirt deep dig. The deep dig for the children's hospital. Let's just say for the hospital. For the people's hospital. Whoa, Utopia. Flying the orange float. Man, what? The orange drone racing over the surface, spreading. Racing over the surface while smoothing the ripples and holes along the, let's see, so it's, you got cement is a component of concrete. So along the concrete, basement floor. And I said orange racing drone just so you could have the contrast with this drone, with everything else. I mean, the weight would be my concern, because when I did it twice my entire life, cement flat work for free for a friend, subcontractor, contractor. So you throw down the foam board, you kneel on the foam board, and distribute your weight, and it's flat, so your knees don't press in. And I'd like to say it was called the trowel. I'm not looking that up. And then you would just move over the cement, and then have another piece of foam, the stiff foam, to be able to then advance over the floor. In this case, there's a drone, and I was able to use my weight. I mean, you had to put your weight into it to be able to spread the cement flat. So this drone's definitely going to have to be big-ish. And Ursula, and that's how this utopia will be, at least gives Ursula a purpose, and then also limits the amount of moving parts as well as agency that this machine needs to have to actually do a job. Ursula wants to be a drone pilot, and the destiny part I'm struggling with, because I got to work that into an 800-word story. And I said an hour and a half, so there's an hour and 12 minutes left. Flying the orange drone, racing over the surface while smoothing the ripples and holes along the concrete basement floor. I don't know if I want to overload the first introduction to the drone and add size, but that's a lot of description. But this is a flash fiction story, so let's get it up front. So the People's Hospital is flying the, what size? So let's think of some object. Lawnmower? I mean, is that something people are going to really know these days? It's the size of a lawnmower. I think so. I think just go with it so I don't think about too much. I don't know drones, and I don't want people to have to know drones to know the size. So I'm not going to use another drone type as a comparison. And it's a tool, so if I'm going to use some sort of simile, then I'm going to have to make it about another tool to at least stay within the grouping. At least that's how I want to construct context. So, lawnmower size, man, that's a lot. Wheelbarrow sized. Let's just do it. And not think about it too much, because there isn't a lot of time. Orange drone. And then maybe just make lawnmower one word. Lawnmower size orange drone racing over the surface. Racing over the cement surface. That's concrete. Cement is a thing that you put into concrete to make concrete. You need to add rocks depending on what you want to mix it in. And surface while smoothing the ripples and holes along the concrete basement floor. All right, so at least we have who, where, and what are they doing. The why, people could probably load that context in, the fact that she's working. Maybe I could put construction worker Ursula. Stands. No, that to me gives that impression. Why is you're doing a job? But let's make this Utopia. Maybe, yeah, I don't want to have to invent some sort of society that has a money system, given this is flash fiction. So let's just leave Utopia in the future, that you're doing something that is also your passion. And somehow they align. And some people's passion isn't doing shit. And I don't understand that, because that's just not the way I'm wired or I programmed myself. But I get it. I envy it. Not me. So my Utopia is going to be out of slow working. But she's flying a drone. She also wants to be a drone racer. And I think in that drone racer is where I'm going to find this at. Ursula. Ursula stands. Flying the lawnmower-sized orange drone. Okay. Ursula, let's put one ourselves, since it is third person. First person, I suppose, would be a little bit easier, because then, you'd have to think of a more interesting narrative. I would, at least. Ursula knows. Ursula feels. Basement floor. Ursula printed. Ursula watches the rotors. I gotta get this better. The ripples and holes along the concrete basement floor. Ursula watches. The drone blade, drone wobble. The drone trowel. I'm going to just call it, I think it is a trowel. It's been way too long, and that's how I'm going to spell it right now. If that's wrong, guess what? Oh well. The flying drone, let's call it. The flying drone's trowel. Ursula watches the flying drone's trowel. Hit a bump of rocky cement and wobble while her drone that's how I can do it. Yeah. Just show how the creation of this was helped by the community and not necessarily like her thing she bought, she controls. I mean, that's like the pure utopia, right? And I don't, you know, I like to possess things. It's going to be hard to train the humans out of that. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they'll get so sick of consumption someday. But that said, in here, Ursula watches the flying drone's trowel hit a bump, not a pump, bump of rocky cement and wobble while her drone, the one she designed and printed at the library, flies straight. Dips. To spread the bump flat and rise to continue the float. Continue to float the trowel. Maybe the construction side is paying for the materials. That'd be it. Right there. So let's express that. So flies dips. Flight path. And press the trowel into the concrete. And spread the bump flat. And rise to continue to float the trowel. Over the cement. And complete her agreement. Wow, this is going to be, yeah, it's going to be one of those stories. I'm going to let it go because I don't want to control this narrative. Tired of the way I've been writing. I mean, I say that a lot and I mean it a lot. It just feels fucking redundant. And I'm talking the patterns and the layout. The way I have a narrative voice for this novel I'm writing right now reads like all the others. Maybe that's just the way it's going to be, but for this story, let's just go off with this. And let's fall back into it. So we have Ursula. I want to be able to build up the context and give reason, like how did she get this stuff printed? So building up the economy is a showing of exchange of the cost for being able to create the physical thing and using what you've created to then help someone with some of your work. Her design. And even Give the money needed to enter. What would be like the thing? I gotta make, because I'm now thinking sport, and I don't know. I don't do drones. I do 3D fantasy modeling and painting. I'd probably have a better, more interesting thing to code. No, I wouldn't. I just don't do drones, so I don't know much about them. I don't know if I know there's professional racing. I just don't know the names. So I'm just going to sort of make it a 3-letter acronym, TLA, much like, or initialism, TLE, TLI, TLI, 3-letter initialism. Or maybe it could be an acronym. If it's an acronym, what's it going to spell? FLI, fly, I like professional PDR initialism, professional drone rider. The professional drone rider. Well, how's this person versus destiny? Oh. Because it's not. I'm just not seeing this person versus destiny. Got a construction site. Definitely feels future, especially with the economy I'm trying to create without being overwhelming or requiring more words. It doesn't have many people in here. I guess I could put in people she's going to be in the next paragraph. Third person, yes. Present tense, yes. Utopian, feels like it. Destiny. I'll build that up. I think I can get something. Professional drone rider, amateur event. At the Lagoon Racetrack. So Ursula, I've probably even used the name Ursula. 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 Floats around. John and Sultan. Let's say Joe. Ursula flies the drone. I'm trying to think of like how to describe this, like wrapped in a skeleton is what is coming to mind. But I don't know if that's necessarily what needs or is the best description. I mean, then you bring in like death skeleton. You know, but it's, and so much so when I said that I changed my voice. Funny. I don't. I'm trying to think of like exosuit. I feel wrapped in an exosuit or fastened in an exosuit. In an exosuit, pushing concrete flowing. It was the trough? I can't remember the proper name. And I think that's trough. Fucking I don't. Trowel. Trough. Probably using these words wrong. It's memory sucks. Too much to remember. And I didn't do it enough times to make it like a habit. If we're talking about farm implementation, that's a little bit different. I did a lot of farming, so that's burned in my brain. Pretty much. There's not a lot to really remember besides drive, pick, shovel. Ursula, not let it break your body and mind. Which is difficult. Ursula flies the drone and floats around Joe and Sultan, fastened in an exosuit, pushing concrete, flowing through the trough. Flowing from the... and piling in the corner. Ursula does a loop around the concrete trough. Man, I really want to look up this word. I'm just going to not do it. With her drone, like part of a racetrack. What did I call this? The PDR. A PDR. Of the PDR. There we go. I don't know why Austin, Texas. Just space, man. Just like a lot of land. I feel like if I were to have some really massive, it'd be near Austin or near in Texas someplace. I just got land. And for having a drone racetrack, you need land. And there's money, because there's oil. And that's not going away ever. It's just not. Not when money's involved. And, yeah. Until it runs dry. But it's utopia, not dystopia. Maybe we've solved that problem somehow. Anyway, that's why it's in Austin, Texas. Yeah. So flowing from the trough and piling in the corner, Ursula does a loop around the concrete trough. Along the trough with her drone, like part of the PDR racetrack in Austin, Texas. like the double loop. Let's see here. She needs more parts. Maybe that's just, I mean, why do I have to write? Like, what is, I guess, finishing the job? That is the resolution here. And then you're done. And yet, then I'll have another story about work. Oh boy. Well, such is my life. Here we are. So let's just say this thing ends when the flat work's done. Person versus destiny. Yeah, you know, she's destined to be a drone flyer. Future, worked in a little bit of Utopia, and it's flash fiction, so these things are quick. And I think the job is what's going to need to complete. So I got to do that well. At least not make it too painfully bad. And I got another 49 minutes. If I did math right. If I did our time right. Quantity, yeah. I mean, sure. Her fingers twitch and press. See through the drone like she's inside. Flowing along with her mind. The drone wavers while she fantasies. Racing the flat Utah desert, salt. Can I try that right there on the drone wavers while she fantasies racing the salt flat, the PDR racetrack on the salt flats. Let's with the Great Salt Lake, the Great Salt Flats of Utah. She calculates the jobs to get printing. She imagines. She sees and has paid the registration. She flies around. Man, what? I gotta have her get lost for a little bit in some sort of imagination, like to at least build up that concept of destiny. If I really wanted to, I'd be looking at a browser and what destiny means. I just don't want to look up destiny. I should know by now. Though I'm not a believer in destiny. We're destined to do nothing. If we want. So with that thought, I'm very much struggling with where the destiny is coming from in this story. She's destined to race, I suppose. She sees herself racing, not fantasy. Because there's one thing that I've learned about participating in sports, some minor coaching in sports, and then watching watching my son advance in sports from Little League to college and just seeing many things and hearing many interviews and talking to many athletes. And there's always that sense of vision. You see yourself there and don't think about it. Go there. But you have to see the success and want it. And it's destiny. That's what I want to try to pull into this idea of destiny for what Ursula's doing, because it's a sport. It's not as physical. It's a game, whatever you want to think it as. And it'd be a mental one too. The difference is you're not putting your body into any sort of danger like you would an F1 car or stock car or any sort of sport that requires the human to be in the machine that's moving fast. This is a drone. And the human is not in it. She sees, she projects. While she projects herself. Like she projected herself, creating a better drone. And working with people she needs to pay for race fees. She projects. She sees. She projects. She sees, she projects, winning. Like she projects, guiding the drone. Along the wall, along the foundation wall. along the foundation wall, along, up and along, up and along. Tunnel track in Nevada. She sees through her drone. The next pour. Continue the job. Project. It's like really PG and really terrible. I do need to pause for a moment. I'm going to do that. And I have coffee. And I have words. They may be in some state of being done. I don't know. Just feels. And I went past tense too on this. Because of the interface of Vim. Like she projects, guiding the drone up and along the foundation wall of the future hospital. She sees the drone. Hauling filament. I mean, I guess that'd be the question. Could you do this all out of 3D printing and not concrete? We're going to say there's going to be a mix. She sees a drone fly by Stan and Goodrich, guiding the drone. As they filament hauling drones put to print interior walls. Wow, man, this gets like preachy as all get out at the end. Oh man, but that's kind of what I mean. The destiny part of this flash fiction story, and just the need to not write it like I normally do, which is subject verb object sentences without some sort of narrative. Um, this definitely has some tangent narrative. I think I might be done. It's too long paragraph, so it's. I wonder if I can split this up just to make it easier to read in this frame, and then maybe Ursula stands. Ursula flies the drone and floats around Joe and Sultan, fastening in the exosuit. Let's do that, and then I'm going to read this aloud. She sees the drone. Let's do that right there. This is actually would be a good paragraph break right here. So we have that paragraph break. And then she starts to project. I feel like right here would be a good paragraph break to just allow reading to happen. It's really meta, which is counted a lot of times how I write these. But whatever. I need a title. What the hell is a title for this? Utopia. I think Dreams of the PDR. Yeah, let's just do that. Dreams of the PDR. What is the PDR? Dreams of the PDR in Utopia. And a lot of the flash fiction stories you'll see will have really detailed and specific titles to help narrow the scope and context. I try to avoid that. Alright, so let's at least load into my mind so I can rate and think about this along the way while I read it aloud is the original story elements that I'm supposed to be adhering to. And those story elements for time is future. This feels futuristic. You literally have drones doing construction, robots, and they're able to on a regular basis, it seems. Building up of the drone too and how it was created. Definitely main location construction site is a construction site. Person versus destiny, that's the questionable one. I think the sort of open narrative about her projecting and her seeing as she is a sports person herself in success, and it's helped guide her in how to build this drone. So it's a bit of perseverance versus and destiny, like this is what she's meant to do. And a lot of people don't get that sense of destiny and purpose, and that's unfortunate. She does, and that's the conflict is whether she can do it or not. Man, I don't know. I'm going to move on. I may have failed with the conflict today. Quantity of primary characters, yeah, I threw some people in there. They really don't have much backing to it, so they're not like primary at all. They just filled me background, so that's probably another one I failed at. I do have multiple characters in there, but they don't necessarily give to the story. And point of view third, this is a third person perspective, and I was consistent with that as far as I will find out. Present tense, yes, I believe. Utopia, I think there's a sense of utopian here. I mean, even in Utopia, you're going to have to do something, even if it's just playing video games and allowing someone to collect your data to be able to harvest the energy so you could play your video games, track your life, things like that. All the way up to be able to be an inventor like Ursula is in this story. Let's read the story and let's rate it after I sip some coffee. Dreams of the PDR. I could literally put destiny in the title and then I'd solve that. The destiny of many people for my failing to hit a constraint as much as I wanted. All right, let's read this. Dreams of the PDR. Dreams of the PDR. Ursula stands on the dirt of the deep dig of the People's Hospital, flying the lawnmower-sized orange drone, racing over the concrete surface while smoothing the ripples and holes along the concrete basement floor. Ursula watches the flying drone's trowel hit a bump of rocky cement and wobble while her drone, the one she designed and printed at the library, flight path dips to press the trowel into the concrete and spread the bump flat and rise to continue to float the trowel over the concrete and complete her agreement to use her drone to work this job in exchange for printing the parts and giving the energy to compute her design and even give the money needed to enter the professional drone rider amateur event at the Lagoon Raceway in 2 months. Ursula flies the drone and floats around Joe and Sultan, fastening in exosuits, pushing concrete, flowing from the trough and piling in the corner. Ursula does a loop around the trough with her drone, like a double loop corner that's part of the PDR racetrack in Austin, Texas. Her fingers twitch and press and eyes see through the drone like she's inside, flowing along with her mind. The drone wavers while she projects herself, racing to the PDR racetrack on the great salt flats of Utah, while she projected herself, creating a better drone and working to pay for the parts to see her invention she now holds. She sees the process of the registration and the cost of the balance sheet she needs to pay for the race fees and membership fees for the union to get health insurance. She sees and she projects winning like she projects guiding the drone and along the foundation wall in the future hospital like she's droning the PDR tunnel track of Nevada. She sees the drone fly by Stan and Goodrich, guiding filament hauling drones to print internal walls for the last week's pour. Her drone flies and dips along the foundation to the concrete pour needed to be flattened for the children's wing of the hospital to continue jobs and project her next self where she can and have help going by flying a drone, her drone. I added words at the end there. Let's do that. Let's rate this. I don't know. Like, windy, long-winded, I should say windy. Not like there was some sort of breeze. Maybe a 3. It's kind of poop. It's because I kind of went off on some sort of weird. Yeah, I think I need to flip around 3 and 2 for future. I got to update the script and I got to publish the script too. I'm gonna make it a 2. Editing, rewriting it may help it be a thing. The idea seems kind of neat. It really doesn't feel like it works for a flash fiction story. It could, if you didn't think about it. Just when you get to thinking about a thing, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Then you just got to think about it, edit it, rewrite it, talk about it, share about it, think about it, and then maybe it'll even make sense to you someday. What is today? Today is now the time to do that thing. Let's go add this story. And let's write the story with the outline. Publish this file to save it. And name it the same thing as I will this transcript I'm recording. Same name as the transcript. To show and tell creation. Critique that this is a 2 of 4. That was the Stochastic Fiction Game. And now, well, there's so many other things to create. Let's go explore life and find those things. And share.